Hey everyone, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. This show is about helping you grow as a coach by standing on the shoulders of giants. Each show, you get a different mentor in your ear. The early motivations, the successes, the failures, the tools, the tricks, and the insight into where the industry is going. All of it so you can make your own dent in the world. Remember, success leaves clues. Now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Whitwer. Today's episode is actually part 2 with Ali Gilbert. Now, if you missed part 1, just go back and hit that one first. Part 2 is going to be just as awesome as part 1. Ali is an incredible person to interview. She's built an awesome business and was in the offline world for 18, 19 years. She has a ton to teach, and I hope you enjoy this episode, part 2 with Ali Gilbert. Yeah, and I think the other thing too is a lot of fitness professionals are movers, right? They're not people that want to sit at a desk and look at a computer. They want to be up, they want to be moving around, they want to be like engaging, they're typically more outgoing. And the online world is like literally like you're behind a computer and you're sending messages and you're reviewing things and you're in a chair all day long. And so how have you been able to like mitigate that process? Because my guess is that's not like you would be an insurance salesman or like you'd be, something else. But
oh my God,
how do you get around that?
That's awful. Yeah. So I have ADD. So combine that with and I truly do have ADD. Like I was diagnosed when I was 12. I'm not just like saying it as like a blanket, but I don't identify with it. Anyway, so I cannot sit for much longer than 2 hours, and I will get up and take a lot of walks. So I walk my dog a lot, but I'll be honest, when I take walks, I get the most ideas for anything. Mm-hmm. So for most of my posts come from when I'm walking or, ideas for a talk I'm giving. I have to walk and think about it. If I'm listening to a podcast, I have to walk when I listen to it. I can't watch it and just sit there. So I belong to 3 gyms, and one of the gyms I can walk to, and it's like a 25-minute walk. It's awesome because I'll get like content, I'll bang out emails, I'll have ideas, get my workout in, walk home. We're good.
Can I stop you for a second? Why do you belong to 3 gyms? Like that, I think we need to have that conversation.
Well, okay. Because that's a half-hour walk, right? But if I drive, it's like 2 minutes. So if I've got Zoom calls and stuff like that where it's spread out, then it's a lot easier to go there and then come home. If I need like equipment that they don't have, we belong to Lifetime, which is a half-hour drive.
Yeah.
Now, they also have a cafe where I can work and stuff like that. So I can choose to spend time up there if I have to. Right. And then the other gym is Forefront Golf and Fitness. It's not like a paid membership, but Charlie has an office there for PT patients. And then I can train there too. They don't have machines though. So it's like, it's the grocery store effect where you have to go to Whole Foods for X and then you go to Publix for this. And like, so
only a true fitness professional would.
It's actually a thing. Like a lot of people belong to multiple gyms. I was like, all right, well, this is like the thing. And so listen, the area we're in Florida, they don't have like a one size, like this gym will do everything for you. There's actually not a lot of meathead gyms in our area, and I wish there were, but they're a hike. So I would totally join another one if they.
Well, I've got some gyms in Minnesota, and I could probably send you over some membership stuff. So if you're ever in the area, we could put you on. But
maybe in the
you
summer.
Could probably just stop in too. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So what would you say some of the other? I mean, because this online coaching is very like a hot topic right now, especially with COVID. It kind of pushed a lot of people by necessity into this world. What would be some of the other things you would want a coach to know about that, when you think about it, you always think about it's going to be awesome and roses and it's going to be all this stuff. Like, what are the other things that are struggles for you in the online world?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say aside from being ready to work harder than you have is to learn more business skills for running a business, know everything about what is going in and out of your business. I would say like the mistake that I had made in the past few years is hiring people that you trust where you don't think that you have to worry about certain things because they have it handled. You really have to know everything that's going on because, like, I mentioned before, no one's going to care as much about your business as you are or you. So no one wakes up and is like, how can I make Ali money today? Except me.
Right.
So it's having a handle on everything you're spending money on, everything that you may not necessarily need, and then understanding what the ins and outs are. So understanding what you can write off tax-wise. Not a lot of coaches understand that, or do they understand taxes? So with a low overhead as an online business, you really got to get crafty with what can be deemed as what you can write off.
Right.
And it can be a lot because you're spending money on a lot of things in, online, like software and stuff like that goes without saying. But if you're buying presents for your clients or you're buying products for them, like stuff like that still counts. So I think getting a good accountant to help you so that you don't get a slap in the face from the IRS is also a very good move to really understand just that business side. And I would say be ready to completely change your schedule around. So autonomy is great. Working for yourself is amazing.
Right.
I would never trade it ever again. But if you're very much like me, where you thrive on structure, learn how to manage your time, because nobody's going to hand you a schedule and say, you have to show up here and there. So what has helped is I only do podcasts and, well, today's Tuesday, but I only do most podcasts and my Zoom calls and stuff like that on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
That has helped. I used to open my entire Calendly and it would be like, take your pick. And then I would get annoyed because I'd have like one call on one day and then 6 on another. So it may suck that you're batching everything in a short amount of time, but then you get it done. And then the rest of the week that you can assign that time to other tasks. Get up early, just like you would if you're training people at 5 or 6 a.m. I think most fitness professionals are pretty hardwired to be morning people. Use that time effectively. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. I don't do a lot of social stuff. I literally have had to protect my energy and my time the more that I've grown, because you soon realize how much people want a part of you that if you're like me, yes, you'll say yes to way too many things. Getting used to saying no is really hard, but you have to. And it may come across a certain way, but you have to protect yourself because that inherently will protect your business. So I would say time management and expectations are probably the most mismanaged things when it comes to transitioning. Because if you work at a gym, you have a set schedule. You may get to book your clients, but most people book their clients in the same time. Like 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. is not really efficient. But if you get everybody in the morning, cool, then that works out. It doesn't work that way when you go online. Online, you have access to different time zones. You have to be able to appeal to those. So it's a lot more difficult. But if you really love it, I want to say it's not going to not feel like work, because it does feel like work. And people who are like, I don't work a day in my life, you do. Okay. We all complain about the same shit. Like, come on.
Right.
But I would not trade what I do now, because like the days I get a message from a guy who's like, you are the reason that I did something about how I feel about myself, and it has helped me and my family. It's days like that make everything worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And those days will come for that person, because the work is very gratifying. And I think most fitness professionals just like helping people, and you can do that. And if you don't want to deal with any of that, then find somebody like me or whoever who is hiring coaches, so that all you have to do is coach.
Right.
And you don't have to deal with any of that stuff, because that's an option too. It's not like you have to go look for a job at a gym just to coach. There are plenty of online coaches who have teams. And we always want people who maybe they don't want to create their own thing because they don't want to deal with running a business, but they do want to be under the umbrella of somebody who will handle that. Right. And that's okay too.
That's awesome. So do you structure your days in a way like, okay, from, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., I'm doing kind of client kind of researching and getting in and digging things? Like, do you set it up like that? Or is it like, does it all revolve around your calls? And then in between those, you're trying to kind of do the research and check-ins and all of that kind of stuff?
Both. So I start off each week trying to structure it. But I will say, like, usually I start calls or have something booked by 9 or 10 a.m. Yep. So if I get up and I feel great, I might train before that. But if not, I will sit on the computer and handle True Coach or Coach Catalyst notification. We can edit that. I will get up and handle Coach Catalyst notifications and messages and things that I have to handle of that nature. Make sure that people that I have in Australia, I have to attend to their messages and everything. Because then when they wake up around 5, 6 p.m., everything's in order. So I usually try to tackle chronometer and the Coach Catalyst stuff first to make sure we're set for the day. And then as the day goes on, it's usually like mini fires or crises that come out where somebody needs something or a message. And then, like I said, podcasts and Zooms are Mondays and Wednesdays. So then the rest of the time is spent, if I have a Zoom check-in with somebody, Wednesday nights I have my group Zooms, and then my own training time, which I prioritize. And then anything else that is, on the list, which right now is really a lot. So, we're relaunching my podcast. We've got a bunch of different business relationships, and then the planning of an event that I'm doing throughout the year, 2 virtual events and an in-person event. So there's always something. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing is like, you don't ever really get a break because like your mind's always running and you've got like these unrelenting standards to live up to. So, but yeah, I have more structure than I used to. It used to be like, I'll just do what I feel like when I feel like throughout the day. And then 8 p.m. comes and I'm like, I don't feel like being on my screen right now. I'll do this tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and then you piss somebody off. And so I've set a standard of having like a 12 to 24 hour response rate on messages. So I want to make sure that I at least adhere to that. As the business owner, it's probably a good look.
It's a good best practice.
Yes.
So why not just have a nice coaching business, make a good income, hang out, and like just do that? Why build this into the empire that you're building it into?
That's a great question because I could easily just not be doing what I'm doing to make it grow and just be complacent. Honestly, I love being a part of things that are bigger than myself. And if that involves more people on my team, awesome. But literally the Silverback Summit, which is my men's health event, which is this.
Ooh, I like it.
It's my logo. The idea behind that was to bring together my most trusted medical practitioners who talk about things that normally guys don't talk about, and my most trusted other fitness colleagues, but in an environment that was safe for guys, because we have all these conversations in forums and on podcasts, and I do on my coaching calls, but guys don't have that ability to meet other dudes who are going through the same thing that they think is unique to them. Because most men think whatever they're experiencing, something's got to be wrong with them, or it's just not common. And these are guys in their 20s and 30s. And I'm like, no, this is actually really common. A lot of guys go through this. So I didn't know if I put like a bunch of guys, because it's a men's health event and the only females that were there were female practitioners. If you put a bunch of random dudes in a room, are they actually going to get along? Like, are they just going to be introverted? These guys were freaking BFFs, staying up so late, playing these like card games and stuff in the hotel. And I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it attracted the interest of a lot of other medical professionals who were like, you have an event where we're not restricted on what we talk about. This is cool. And just the whole concept of building something like that for guys made me so excited. I get more excited about planning that than I do about anything else because it's so freaking cool. And having spoken at other events, and now I hosted one, which is literally like planning a wedding. My God. But the what comes out of it for others makes me happy. I love giving gifts. My love language is not receiving gifts. My love language is words of affirmation. If you give me a gift, I get weird, but I like to give things. I love giving gifts. So if I can give the gift of freedom and safety and fun to a bunch of guys with a mild twist of my perverted personality, I think it's a win. And that's why I do what I do, because yeah, I could coach all day and just sit behind the computer and do whatever, but that doesn't fulfill me the same way.
So for you almost too, you're using the events as a way to like get that, maybe the piece you're missing from maybe in-person coaching, right? You're getting that socialization, you're getting that engagement with other people, you're looking people in the eyes and doing the physical human stuff, where the other part of it, right, is a lot of behind the computer screen stuff. And Zoom is one thing, like there's a connection, but it's not the same as like you're in person, you're giving hugs, you're shaking hands and like having that face-to-face conversation.
Totally. I mean, and I don't know if any coach thinks this way, but for me personally, maybe I'm a loser, but like my social, the majority of my social time with my friends is at these events. So literally, like my husband and I met at Perform Better, right? We both spoke on their circuit. So our entire wedding was like Perform Better and Titleist performance people. It literally was like a event in itself, right? So when we go to these events, it's like seeing my friends because they live all across Earth,
right.
You know? So I only have like a handful of friends in Florida. And even my friend Ashley, I don't know if you had met her, but she went to the event last week. We live 40 minutes from each other. We only see each other at these events because we have so many mutual friends.
Right.
So I look so forward to all these live events because that's where I know we'll have time with X number of people at this restaurant that we always go to. And it's just like this nostalgic thing. And you remember like the old days and stuff. And you basically like cultivate the best friendships and the friends that are family at a lot of these events because you're seeing a lot of the same people every single year. And so if anyone's like, well, you know, the only times I actually like socialize are at these events. Oh, me too. It's okay. Like, and if you're not and you're like, Ali, you're a real loser. You need to get out more. I know it's okay. I'm aware.
I kind of wonder like, so that's a very common theme in the fitness industry, right? Especially for people that have been in it for 10 plus years, right? You look forward to going to events over and over again because you see people, you know, it's maybe the only time of year that you see them. I kind of wonder if other industries are similar or if that's something that's unique to our world, but I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder, you know, like the medical conference that I spoke at, like, and the ones I've attended, they're a little bit different. Like they start at like 7 a.m. They go to like 7 p.m. And right. I would talk about sitting in a chair. I'm like, yeah, this is not working for me. But they have, you know, pharmaceutical companies and stuff sponsor the lunch. So you literally stay in your seat all day because you have lunch brought to you and whatnot. And it seemed that a lot of people had networked and, you know, met before and knew each other, but I was such an outsider. I just started talking, like I can talk to the wall and make friends with it. Like, so I'm just talking to random people, but I never really asked them that, like stuff like that. And I do wonder that. And it does seem that way. And it does seem like that in certain trade shows and stuff. But I think because we're so incestuous and small as a industry that it's probably a little bit different. I don't know if people have as many like weddings and dating stories and like, you know, cults of friends that come out of it. But like, literally, like when I met you guys, I felt like I was best friends with you. Like I'm like, you know, these guys are cool. Like Justin and I now were BFFs. Like I feel like I should have known him for 20 years already, and that annoys me. Like how did I not know some of these people already for years? Right. So yeah,
that's awesome. So where's your event?
So it's going to be in Austin, Texas, in November.
Okay, why Austin?
Because we had it in Florida last year and Austin's kind of halfway in the country and easy to get to. And a lot of the guys like the barbecue. So they all,
That's awesome. And this is like a consumer is not the right term, but like that type of person, right? This isn't for coach, or maybe it is for coaches too, but like, are the people that you're seeing come to this event being like just your everyday Gen Pop type person?
So that's a good question, because last year I was like, I'm marketing to 3 demographics: medical, fitness, and Gen Pop. How do I work this? So we just kind of winged it, and we had all 3. I did not expect the interest from the medical side to be as large as it was. So this year, we're going to basically have 2 tracks, I think, medical and fitness, but not run them at the same time. So maybe the morning is fitness, the evening is medical, or whatever, the afternoon, because there are people that really enjoy both. It just, the challenge was, since so many medical professionals came, I told my guys, hey, keep it really basic, because it's mostly practitioners or fitness practitioners and Gen Pop. I don't know about the medical side. So this allows the medical people to talk to their peers about their protocols in their language. But there are fitness professionals and Gen Pop who actually have just a genuine interest in this, who can listen to what they're talking about as well. And then there's people like Dr. Eric Serrano who blend to both audiences. So there's going to be like the people that can do both. So that's an interesting question, because it was like, well, how are we marketing this? So, and we had a ton of fitness professionals, obviously, naturally, because that's my,
right,
it's my
world
thing. Yeah, that's my world. So, but anybody can attend, but there'll be more like emphasis on some fitness related and medical related. But then I also lump like the fitness professionals into the Gen Pop group at this event, because I train so many coaches, and because so many coaches don't necessarily have the experience in dealing with men's hormones and stuff like that, that they want to learn that as well. So it is beneficial for them as a man, but also as a coach, to understand, to have the right conversations and in coaching guys, because there's so many people that talk about coaching women. No one talks about coaching guys except me. I mean, if there is somebody else, tell me. So I can make sure that they're not competition. But no, I'm kidding.
As a gym owner, Coach Catalyst is the key to having low turnover. For several years, I struggled and spent 10 to 20 hours a week communicating with clients via phone calls, Facebook Messenger, email, and text messages. I had tried everything to make my life more efficient. I was at my wit's end. And then I found Coach Catalyst. Since starting the software, I have found a life again, and my clients are thanking me for being so involved in their fitness life. I've cut my daily commitment to interacting with over 300 clients to under 15 minutes a day, and have streamlined my 6-week challenges. I couldn't recommend it more. I just don't know if I would even be here today if it wasn't for Coach Catalyst. If you don't have an account already, you're missing out and not helping the people you could be.
Why do you think that is? I mean, do you think because the typical person that seeks out a fitness professional is typically female, right? If we just look at the demographic of people that hire trainers in the gym, right? It's very heavy female. Do you think it's just because that's, maybe males aren't as apt to ask for advice or want help, or is it just like they're there wanting help, but no one's saying like, hey, I'm the person for you?
I think because it has been such a male-dominated industry, in addition to the interest level, that there was never really the need to specialize in that. And like, do you remember they used to have like the women's side of the gym at Gold's Gym and the women's room or something like that? Because women used to be very intimidated, and I think a lot maybe still are, of going in a commercial gym and just having so many dudes. And when I started going to NSCA conferences, it was like me and like 5 other strength coaches who were women. And I was like, yo, you guys are all missing out, because there's like this plethora of jack dudes and there's only 4 of us for all these guys. Like, it was literally like, you won't talk about dating in person, like this is the gold mine. And it's not like that as much. This event last week, 80% female, where I was even like, I wonder if any are going to come to my talk. And a lot of them took a genuine interest in like, how do I talk to guys about this stuff? For the reasons that you said. They don't talk about, sensitive male things in a locker room setting, but they do have a sense of pride. Men don't like to rely on exterior things, whether that be exogenous testosterone or somebody else or something like that. So now the I want to say gender roles or whatever you want to call it has shifted so much that I think a lot of guys in society, the way they perceive their role as a man is confusing to them. And I think for them to be able to talk about that is very useful. And providing that safe environment for them to talk about it, I think they'll take very much to that. At least with my guys, I just ask them the questions and kind of pull it out of them. And they say it's very easy to talk to a woman about it, which I understand. But I don't want them to be so threatened by feeling like they're going to be labeled as something because they're like, hey, Ali, I like your shirt. And I'm not like, well, that's creepy, stuff like that, which did not happen 15 years ago. But here we are in a cancel culture where I understand how terrifying it is. But being a man, like we've always, focused on women's rights, and I get that and all of that. But now I think it's been like so men have suppressed their emotions so much because that's what they've been conditioned to know as true, that with, technology and social media and people not even being social because of a pandemic, they really don't talk about stuff. And there's a statistic with 47% of guys who don't have close friends to talk about this stuff. Or sorry, 47% of guys don't talk openly about it. 27 don't have close friends or people they would call close friends, which I found alarming. I posted that during the November men's health because November is like men's mental health. And that was just like crazy that they do suppress stuff because they're taught that being vulnerable and all of that is weak.
Huh.
So I think
that's a crazy statistic. That's basically 1 in 4 don't have, and personally for me, just kind of speaking to this. I live in a very small town, and I moved back to my hometown where I grew up. Eventually moved away for a long time, came back here, families here, want to raise our kids here. But a lot of the people that I grew up with, a lot of the guys that I grew up with have all kind of moved on. That's kind of pretty typical in the small town. They move into cities, they're moving around the country. And so when I got back here, I probably spent the first 3 or 4 years not really having any close guy friends at all. But I was so focused on the business aspect and like building things that it really didn't quote unquote affect me all that much. But in the last probably 4 years, one, I got a workout buddy. So me and a buddy, we have it on our calendar every single day. We work out together, and he also is kind of an entrepreneur. And so we have a lot of it's like a therapy session / workout / like everything. So that really helps from a mental health standpoint. And now we've kind of added a third guy to the group. And I think from just like a happiness standpoint, like having a core group of guys where I could call at any point and needed anything, they would like drop whatever they're doing and come over and help. Like from a happiness standpoint, that has done probably more than anything else. Like I have a strong relationship with my spouse, but like having that kind of guy group is just like, it's crazy how important it is.
It's huge. And I'm glad that you shared that, because when guys have to think about that, then they're like, yeah, that, that's true. And if they have that core group of guys, whether they grew up with them or not, or met them at the gym or something, it really helps solidify like what the relationship with other guys should look like. Mm-hmm. And I think that's gotten lost. Who does it really well is guys from the UK. Just like the way they are with each other is really funny. And maybe because this is soccer and I've been around so many of them, but like they bust each other's balls all the time, which you can find in the American culture. But I think now, like, if you think about what is associated with toxic masculinity, it's visible muscles, it's aggressive men. And now you have a cohort of a bunch of dudes who are all acting the same or want to go to the gym. And so now that's perceived a certain way. I hate that stuff. Like I literally hate, like if you look a certain way, it feeds that narrative. If you act a certain way, it feeds that narrative. How about like people are just douchebags in general. It doesn't have to be assigned to what
Right.
sex you are, like it's so that whole thing I think adds to it. And like it's same with female friendships. I've not really had like a core group of women that I felt like I really related to like my entire life. And bizarre because I went to all girls school. But now like my college roommate who was at the event last week, like she's been there for me like the entire time. And I just don't always see that until you start to mature and you start to realize the importance of those foundational relationships that maybe you wrote off because somebody was like a bitch one day or something. And that would be me, not her. She's amazing. But stuff like that. Like, I think people are very quick to write people off based on, social things. And, like, I love that you brought that up because like, all right, look in the mirror. If you've lost friends, who is the common denominator? Is it you or is it other people around you? Do you pick the wrong people? Like it's a great question to ask because we spend so much isolated time now when we're online coaching or just in general, work from home culture has changed since 2020.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
The drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all of these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the other thing too, so I come from like a heavy sport background, right? So played basketball pretty much for 25 years and was part of some really cool, tight-knit teams all through high school, all through college, and then even at the professional level. And so when all of that ends, it's almost like, I think it's the same thing with like people in the military or anyone that's part of like high-level teams, right? You have kind of a brotherhood and it's because of the sport. And you all have a common goal. And then all of a sudden it just like ends. And there's this weird like transition of like, okay, now I'm in quote unquote civilian life and trying to find that same connection or bond. I think kind of throws people for a loop. And I know it did for me until I was able to kind of find some close guy friends that had similar values, were kind of in similar stages of life, where we're very driven and we're all kind of like trying to be more than just mediocre and not just kind of like coast through life. And so I think that can be a huge thing for ex-athletes, ex-military, all of that kind of stuff, finding that bond. And so kind of on that note, so you do the group stuff, right? And so is a piece of that group stuff almost like to create a little bit of that social, like, yeah, they're all Ali's clients, but like they're also like other human beings that are part of this program and kind of moving through it together.
Yeah, it's funny because, initially you start a group and it's just you answering questions because nobody knows each other really. Right. Some people do. And now like a lot of the times they'll answer each other's questions and it's cool. Or they'll ask each other, hey, what do you guys do for like a protein pancake or something? And it's not just Ali, what do you do for protein pancakes and stuff like that. So they have that community and that bond where some of them have actually gotten together like outside of, the Facebook group and stuff like that. And then some of them are like some golf pros that I've known forever. And I know men love competition, so I pit them all against each other where I'm like, so who's going to be the most jack golf pro? Like, this guy's beating you and blah, blah, blah. And so like, they love stuff like that. Like my, even my one-on-one guys, I know I'm known for bringing guys' carb levels up to ridiculous amounts. So I pit them against each other on my stories. And now they tag each other as to who has the most carbs at one sitting for a meal. Like it's insanity, but they love it. And they're like, this is the best thing you ever did, because men thrive on competition. And then the women are like experiencing such amazing strength gains. Like I think 4 or 5 of my women have now done a pull-up plus 2 or 3 where they never did a body weight pull-up in their life, just based on the strength training that they're doing. So having other women support each other is like, it's super cool. So you create that community based on who you are and the people you bring together, because hopefully I don't attract like jackholes, but
So you also work with women. So you're not kind of like just with men.
I handle mostly the guys. We have women in our group. And then right now I don't really take on any women unless they're like a high performing athlete or something like that. But for general fat loss and stuff like that, we welcome women. I have coaches who can take on one-on-one women clients and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not just exclusive to, like, I don't say no if a woman's interested in working with us. It just has to be the right fit, because we're not for everybody. I mean, I have people I've referred out to colleagues who deal with postpartum or pregnancy. Right. I don't know anything about that. Like, I'm not your girl for that. I don't want to spend time learning about that, So I have fantastic experts in that field that I'm happy to refer out. But, like with anything, like there's guys that we're not a right fit for, and that's okay. I tend to be very direct, and, my candor is not necessarily received by people who maybe are sensitive to certain topics, and that's cool. Like, no hard feelings. I can refer you to like so many people that I know who do a great job, which is the beauty of working in the online space. Number one, it's not a competition. There's always going to be plenty of clients. And I'll say that for anybody who's an online coach, don't think just because somebody works with the same demographic as you or does what you're doing that there's no clients for you anymore, because people will buy you for you. Like people will buy me because I am who I am. And listen, cool. But if I'm not for you, that's cool too. But they're buying coaches. They're not buying coaching, So I do the same type of coaching as my coach, Luke, but maybe they don't want to work with Luke, or maybe they'd rather work with Luke. Cool. It feeds everybody and everybody wins. Like, I think people think it's weird that I promote so much, that I learn so much from my coach, from Luke Lehman. Like, yo, this man has changed the trajectory of like my coaching craft, especially online. He was doing online coaching before it was cool. Why would I not give him the credit it deserves? If that causes people to go running to work with him, cool. Like, I love him. I think that he absolutely deserves that. But there's going to be people that resonate better with me and like me over him, and vice versa. Like, it's cool, So I don't want coaches to be deterred because they think they're so behind from, getting in the online space, because there's so many coaches now. There's going to always be people that you get along with better than others, just like in any social situation. People will resonate with what you talk about because you're you.
Right. So. I love it.
As a coach that runs challenges, I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
So if you had to give a new coach or a coach that wanted to get in the online space, let's say they are kind of getting their feet wet in the offline world, learning how to coach, learning how to work with people, but eventually want to move into the online world, what's like the kind of like step-by-step kind of quick checklist that you would kind of have them start working through, knowing that, hey, in the next couple of years, I want to be transitioning into online?
So if they want to transition a few years, you absolutely have to do social media. I understand that people say they don't like it. And, that's where a lot of your audience is going to be. But you can't just hop online one day and be like, hi, buy my coaching, because no one knows who you are. So you have to spend time building that trust. And that trust is given, or that trust is earned by providing tons of free content, tons of invaluable insights into what somebody can do and how they can do better. And it has nothing to do with you giving away everything you're about. Like literally providing tips that people can use tomorrow or changing their life. That will build a relationship with your audience. Talk to people in your DMs. Understand what they want. Poll the audience. How can I help you? Do you guys struggle more with nighttime eating or with, getting your workouts in? Learn the pain points. And I'm throwing so much out there. So basically this comes down to develop trust with an audience on social media so that when you do decide to sell your services, it's really because they're asking you for it, because they have taken so much free, valuable stuff that you've given them. Because it's very difficult to just show up online and expect people to buy. I have people who literally have bought coaching with me in the last month who have been following me for 3 years. Sometimes it just takes that long for them to pull the trigger and for them to decide, or maybe they go through other coaches and realize that that's not a good fit for them. And then they're like, you know what? I will spend the money to work with Ali or whomever, but it does take time to build trust, just like in any relationship. You're not going to show up online and get married and all of this stuff. Like, you want to build that audience and build that trust. So just post, and it doesn't even matter. I mean, literally, you can post a picture of a pond and it does not matter. You don't even have to say anything about it. Instagram just needs to know you exist and you're posting things in a consistent manner. Then when you actually, build somewhat of a following, post things that obviously are helpful. But like over analyzing and making sure it's the perfect phrase and then the perfect photo to go with what caption, don't waste time doing that. That doesn't matter until it's you or me, where we post and we actually have people reading what we're posting about.
Right.
So, but that literally happens to so many new coaches. They're like, well, I can't find the perfect photo. I'm like, you can literally say, I like turtles, and it's a picture of a horse and no one's going to notice.
I like turtles. Would you say Instagram right now is kind of the platform? If someone was going to focus on a single platform today, being, March of 2023, Instagram seems to have the most influence?
I would say, yeah, that and TikTok. I'm not sure what's going on with TikTok right now.
I don't think anyone does. So you're not alone.
Like literally, I think it's important to diversify in case you get banned. So
do you see TikTok even for like the demographic that you're dealing with, which is probably like, it's older. It's not your 18, 19-year-olds. It's your late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s type people.
I've tried, I don't know, a lot of my TRT clinic practitioners are on TikTok and they get a ton of leads. The leads I've gotten from TikTok are 20-year-olds that are like, you cost how much? And I'm just like, let's not even don't worry about filling out an application. But I did get on that platform because last April, a year ago, literally, I got banned off Facebook and Instagram. So I was like, cool. It was really depressing because I had no one to talk to. Talk about being isolated. I have people followers that I only talk to on Instagram that are I don't know if we're friends or whatever. So back to Ali being a loser, but literally I was like, well, I have no way of contacting these people. And a lot of them like messaged me on Twitter and they're like, where did you go? And I was like, you noticed, oh my God. But if you lose any of your platforms, you email list, you need an email list because you need a way to talk to them. But if you lose any of your platforms, it's good to be on multiple so that you can talk to people in case something happens, in case you say something offensive or post something like a ball.
I feel like we need some context, like to get banned from both Facebook and Instagram. Like I feel like that's kind of special. Like you should get an award, like a YouTube award or something.
It was like, I think it was a mask that was basically like a ball sack, but it was very anatomically real. Like it looked like a real ball sack. So they stripped my account for nudity because I was like, what did I do? And because I posted it on my Instagram, but then it went to my Facebook. They took both.
Yeah.
And then something got fucked up with like trying to do the 2-factor authentication or whatever. So I couldn't get my account back for like a month. And I was just like, all right, this is not good. And I had to create new accounts. It's why I have 2 Instagrams that people get confused with and 2 Facebooks, just in case. But yeah,
do you post identical content on both of them? Like I post here and I post there?
No, okay. I don't post on my backup Ali account. I just follow my regular account.
Got it.
Yeah. So in case that happens to you, it's a good idea. Download your information. Like, yeah.
That's not awesome, but also kind of awesome.
Yeah.
At the same time. Oh, this has been awesome. So I have some kind of quick hitter type questions that I want to finish up with that are just fun and not related at all to what we've been talking about. So, let's get it going. Taco, queso, or taco, burrito, or quesadilla. Sorry. Tacos.
Yes.
Any
unless it's a sushi burrito. Have you ever had one of those?
I don't think so.
So
enlighten me. I mean, is it just like sushi?
Just like a giant sushi roll.
They just made it a lot bigger and made it burrito size.
Yeah, and didn't cut it up, but it's delicious.
I like it. All right. What cartoon world do you wish you could live in for a week? Cartoon world. So you might need to go back to your childhood, unless you watched a lot of cartoons now.
Oh my God. Like, no, I don't watch cartoons now. So like what are the adult ones? Like South Park, I think just from like it's like kind of like living in Jerky Boys in cartoon form. I mean, I love doing pranks and shit like that. So I think that would
South Park is. That's the first South Park I've gotten, but that's awesome.
Oh,
it's
really? What do other people say?
My
like
generation.
Care Bears?
I don't think I've gotten Care Bears either, but Flintstones I think is a big one.
Beavis and Butthead.
I like South Park though. That's a good one. I think that fits. All right. Something you've purchased recently for under $100 or thereabouts that has either had profound value or had profound impact on your life.
A lap desk. So I do like the majority of my work on my couch.
Really?
Because it's a reclining couch. So on my lap is a lap desk. I don't have it up here, but it's adjustable so that the laptop can like the screen can face you, and it's the best thing ever.
Is it like elevated so it keeps your computer from like overheating?
Yep. And it's padded, and then the surface is hard, and then it has like a textured area so your phone doesn't fall, and then you can like actually put your phone in like a little holder thingy, and like I said, on an angle it holds the screen. It was like $40. It was amazing.
That's really interesting. So more so that you work a lot from your couch. Do you find that to be productive and like working in like your quote unquote living room versus like having an office where you go and you kind of focus on things?
Yes, because I've tried, this is my office and I'm in an office chair, but then I just don't have the same flow of concentration because I'm not comfortable. Same thing with the couch. Like I can't sit for over 2 hours on there, but we have surround sound. So I put on like house music or Sirius or put on like, rap, and then just go to town, and then my dog can sit next to me and stuff. So I know it doesn't sound professional, but like obviously for Zoom calls and stuff, I'm not like chilling on the couch like, yo. You know, I will
Right.
sometimes wear pants, but you know, so
It's
it
optional.
does actually, like, I don't fall asleep. It actually is a lot, you know, I don't know, ergonomic
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
So
That's awesome. That's great. All right. Last question. If you could have dinner with anyone on the planet, past or present, who do you decide to break bread with?
honestly, I lost my mom in 2016, so not to be like morbid, but I would give anything to have dinner with her again because so much has happened since then. And so be like, Mom, when people think of penises, they think of your daughter. And I think she'd be very proud. But I really would, because you don't realize, like, you think your parents are going to live forever until they
Right.
don't. And I
Right.
encourage everyone whose parents are still alive. Like, I get what it's like to fight with them, and I get how annoying it can be to call them, but just
Right.
call them, you know?
Yeah. I think the older we get, the more important that gets, because you just get close. You start to see, I've noticed this with myself, starting to see people from when I was really young, like they looked like they were old because I was just a really young person, right? But now you're starting to see them get older and maybe slow down a little bit, and it adds a little bit of like finiteness to life, and you start to try and appreciate that a little bit more because, like, you know, every day is one day closer, and so.
And it goes by fast. And now that I'm 41, like, people who are 50 do not seem ancient anymore. And then, like, my friends who are 50, like 60 doesn't seem crazy, you know? And then, like, in your 40s is like when people start getting sick. And that has been really crazy because I'm like, no, we're still too young. Like, you watch everyone's life unfold on social media. And
Right.
you don't really know what's going on until one day they announce that, like, you know, so-and-so passed away or whoever's sick. And you're just like, what? Like, we were just in high school. How did this happen?
know.
So I have no, like, you know, advice for, like, life is short, because I feel like we say that all the time.
Right.
The reality is, if a friend of ours passes away or a family member, it literally shifts your perspective. But people will admit this, that only lasts for like a very short amount of time. You're like, yeah,
Right.
I have to live more. I have to do X, Y, Z. And then like 3 months later, it's kind of like you're back to the same habits. But I wish there was a way for us to perpetually be able to live in that way. And there are people that do, I'm sure, but I don't know
Right.
that secret yet. So if anyone out there has that, please share.
Let us know. We'll get you on the podcast.
Yes.
Awesome. Ali, if people want to find out a little bit more about you, where about should they go in the interwebs?
Please slide in the DMs. There's nothing that's TMI in my world. On Instagram at the Ali Gilbert, ALI. It's probably the best way to find me.
Cool. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes as well. Well, Ali, this has been a ton of fun. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang out and chit chat and kind of learn about your story. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Trev.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.